Hello guys, from sunny Corfu. Hello Liam, hello Eleanor, hello Simon, hello Claire, hello Helen, hello Linda, and hello Chloe. Hope you're all doing well and hope you're happy and hope you're happy. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, hope things are cool and hope everyone's well. Okay, so to the books, which obviously I've been reading while I'm on holiday. First to Baldwin County. I don't know why I'm showing you, you obviously have it. So, okay, the first thing, I think the biggest thing for me is, I think the focus for the book was way too broad. Having war poetry and then the breadth of it that he tries to explore, and then having the story of his grandfather, and then the story of so many other bombers, and not only just bombers, but people involved in bombing. And then he's got the whole experience of being bombed and morality of being bombed and what it does to the cities and what it does to people's morale and you know, that kind of thing. And I think all those things are that's just far too much to try and fit into, you know, 250 pages or whatever it is. It's just far too much. And he also goes into far too much detail to have made it work. I think if he tried to be more sparing with these details, then perhaps it could have worked. But I still think that the focus is way too broad, and it doesn't work for that reason. Like I said, I think he goes into far too much detail as well, and a lot of the detail is irrelevant really for us as reading sort of a story, and a lot of it is just a bunch of facts which. What do we do with them, you know? And I think the more you throw those kind of facts at the reader, the more I think you're going to annoy the reader, or you're going to lose the reader. And so to give you some examples, go to page 54 and 55. And he says, hold on. Yeah, he talks about Alma, and this is another thing. And who's this Alma? This person who loads the bombs. Now, I'm fine with talking about people like Alma loading bombs if your focus is purely on the bombing, you know, and the people working with the bombers. That's fine. Then talk about everyone involved in bombing and everyone and what they thought, but they keep that your focus. But in a book that's ostensibly about, you know, the lost airmen of World War II, and then as we learn later, obviously poetry and how it relates to bombing. If that's what it's about, then I don't care about Alma. I'm sorry. So anyway, he goes about Alma. Alma believes she has a guardian angel. On April Fool's Day, when she was 9, she was run over. She was crossing the road and a cart hit her, crushing her right leg. Her foot was caught in the spokes of the wheel, and she put down so hard on her tongue that it nearly came off. I don't really want to know about that. But then, even in a story I don't want to know about, he still adds in stupid details like, she wants to be a driver anyway. That's just irrelevant. She had an accident, crushing the right leg, but she wants to be a driver anyway. I mean, really? So no, sorry. And then, this is another bit. Alma, again, talking. She talks about Jean, who asked a Scottish captain what was under his kilt, and her friend Vivian from the bomb dump. Now this is you know, a very good example of what really annoyed me. And her friend Vivian from the bomb dump. Now, just that little added detail, we don't know. We don't need to know that she talks about Vivian from the bomb dump. We don't need to know that. We don't really need to know about Alma, but still, if we're going to hear about Alma, we don't need to be hearing that she spoke about Vivian. So that's a big problem for me, as you can, I suppose, as you can gather. And then, on page 83, well, actually, that's to do with that's to do with, I suppose, the details about his grandfather. So yeah, generally he sort of gives too much relevant details, but also when he talks about his grandfather, the details, there are lots and lots of irrelevancies. So, for instance, on 3 July, my grandfather bombs the Friedrich Krupp's steelworks at Essen, and 2 days later, at 1:15 in the morning, the railway station at Münster, 48 hours later, he is again over Minster, and then 24 hours after that, he drops a further 7 500-pound bombs on the same place. And the book is full of that. This day, Gran did that. This day, Gramps did that. This day, he did that. At exactly that time, and exactly that time. Now, well done, Daniel Swift, for working that out. Well done for doing the research. But I'm not in the least interested. Unless we're talking about a very particular day where something particular happened, then don't give me the dates and the details and the times. I don't want to know. But the book is full of that, I swear he's covered every single day of his grandfather's life, well, probably not, but far too many days of his grandfather's life in this book. And that, again, it's really alienating. And while we're on the grandfather as well, the structure that he has of telling his grandfather's story intermittently, in between everything else, just doesn't work at all. It's an unwelcome arrival when it comes. You're reading about Keats, or you're reading about Siani, or whoever else, and then suddenly Gramps comes in. But Gramps is shoehorned as well, which is the worst. He hijacks the story, or he's shoehorned into it, when maybe there's a teeniest link, or no link at all, it just arrives. It just arrives, and there's this little bit. Maybe the dates link, but that's all, and that's to me rubbish. That's really rubbish. I don't think he can write, well, obviously he can write sentences, but I don't think he can construct a novel. I think he maybe needed a writer to write the novel for him. There's no doubt he's a good researcher. There's no doubt at all. He can do research, but he should have got someone else to write it for him. So, and then on top of that, on top of all the relevancies, he also digresses as well, which is criminal. He's already doing that, and then he digresses. I suppose you could call the relevancy digressions, but I think he guesses. I assume he thinks those details and those facts are relevant. But the digressions are just stupid. Maybe, I suppose, digressions and relevancies overlap. But an example would be, again, where he's talking about poets, and the poets in the beginning saying that poets are never going to write, and they're saying there's never going to be poetry for this war, and the poets themselves are saying this war is not going to create any poets or poetry or whatever. And then as an example, he goes into Cecil A. Lewis, and obviously Cecil A. Lewis eventually starts writing poetry at some stage. I think, you see, that's the thing. He's so regurgitative and repetitive that some of the things he told me I've forgotten already, because he's said them so many times. But he's talking about Cecil A. Lewis, and all he needs to say is, this is what Cecil A. Lewis had to say about war poetry. Boom. That's enough. That's all that's really important. But he goes into Cecil A. Lewis's life, and him having an affair with some farm woman or something, and moving to some place, and then moving back there, and moving. We don't need to know that. It's horrible digressions. So, yeah. And also, talking about the structure, going back again to the structure of Grandpa and how Grandpa comes in and out. Initially it felt like it was repeated sweeps of a bomber or something, but then again it sort of initially sort of circular sweeps, and then it kind of just intermittent. But anyway, after that, there's also his personal narrative of how he's moving through, moving back and forth to Holland, RAF, whatever, and whatever, and moving to these places. And that also kind of, it doesn't, sometimes when a book ends a chapter, to sort of show where he found out this information or whatever, or that what sets the locale that sets the theme or something like that, that's fine. But quite often as well, he lifts you out of the narrative for no real good reason. Maybe to give a personal flavour, like, yes, remind you who I am, I'm writing this now, and I'm sitting here while I'm writing it, whatever. But he's not a good enough writer to pull that off. So, for instance, when he's writing here on page 61, saying they were given 3 heavy woolen vests and pants and a heavy woolen guernsey, 3 service shirts, 3 service collars, clothes brushes, hair brushes, boot brushes. Again, way too much detail, but anyway, I can sort of understand, that's interesting. So yeah, sorry, not way too much detail there, but again, after all the detail previously in the book, details like this, details become a bit wearing at times.